Hello and welcome, guys. Thank you for joining me again for another night of Facebook Live. I also like to take time out to recognize those that catch the replay from YouTube and or SoundCloud. It is indeed a blessing to be here with you tonight as I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith, author, educator, and public speaker. I have with me tonight a special guest host, Miss Josie Frazier.
Hi, I'm so glad that we're on. We got it worked out. I am a sophomore at Southeastern in Durant, and I study English education, and I am so happy to be here tonight. I'm excited.
Well, we are excited and delighted to have you with us as well, as this is a new topic for our platform, speaking about suicide and bringing awareness to it. Suicide is a very sensitive topic, and it's one that, we don't take too lightly. And so we hope that by bringing this topic to the platform tonight, that it will minimize some of the stigma and some of the, just the labels and things like that are associated with suicide. So we know that September is Suicide Awareness Month. And so I thought that it would be quite nice or quite necessary that we bring this topic tonight. So first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here with us to share with us this conversation tonight. And so as you guys are logging on and joining us tonight, feel free to like and share this video, Also, feel free to leave us a shout out by putting your name in the comment section and saying hello. And if you have any questions or comments that you'd like for us to address tonight, feel free. Hello. Josie, are you there?
I'm here.
It's showing that we're still on Facebook, but I lost.
We are still on Facebook. I just checked.
Yeah,
that's why I turned my camera off, because you left and I didn't know what to say. So I turned my camera off.
Oh, that's okay. And I was probably still talking and everything. It's just that we lost connection here. My Zoom just totally went down. And so I figured that you guys can still hear me. Facebook, can you guys hear me okay? Hit that heart button or type in the comment section that you can still hear us and that you still have access to us if you do at this time. Just the technical difficulties, there's nothing that we can do about that on this end. Yes, so someone is saying that they can still hear us, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and record in case we lose that connection again, so that we can still record from Zoom and get the video uploaded. Thank you, Demelia, for letting me know that you can still hear us.
Hi, Dee.
So tell me again, Josie, I was asking, how did you get involved with the suicide prevention awareness, drawing awareness to suicide?
Well, in 2018, when I was 16, I'm 19 now, so about 2.5 years ago, I attempted to take my own life. So I am a suicide survivor. So after that, it just kind of presented itself for me to get involved with, and it was just on my heart, and I knew that it was what I needed to do. And it has helped me heal, and it has helped others heal, and it's just something that is kind of a lifelong mission of mine now to work on.
I was talking to you before we broadcast, that these are two different generations that you see here talking on this platform tonight. And suicide is not a conversation, especially in my culture, that we talk about. And it wasn't a conversation that we bring to the table, but it's not a stranger. It's not a stranger to my house. I can think back being a young lady and even growing into an older adult to where, those suicidal ideations, they just show up, they manifest because of the issues that we have. And sometimes, we just want to escape. We just want to escape pain. We want to escape life, looking for a way, looking for solutions. Could you share with us a little bit about what was going on in your life at 16?
At 16, I had so much going on in my life that I did not ever think that I was going to have going on. I tell people a lot, no one expects to hit rock bottom at 16, but I felt like I did. I just didn't like the person I saw in the mirror. I was turning into a person that hurt other people, and I was just living in this reality that was not true to who I needed to be. And it all hit me at once, and it was just way too much for me. When you're 16, you're still a kid. You think that you're grown, but you're still a kid. And I just couldn't handle it. And I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to tell anybody. I'm having these thoughts. I'm having these feelings like I don't like who I am. I don't want to be here. So it just built up until one day I couldn't take it anymore, and I attempted to take my own life. It was just too much, too fast for me to handle.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. And the thing with so many of us guys, we're older and we suppressed a lot. We come up through that generation to where, we were the strong one, and we try to live up to the expectations and things like that. Many of us think of suicide when we look at it as being something negative. We look at it as being something negative. But as I think back on some of the things that I deal with as it relates to the ideations of suicide, is maybe I didn't live up or meet the expectations that others had over me, like my parents or my grandparents, or just wanting to prove that I could do something, or maybe their expectations or their standards were set too high for me, and maybe me knowing that I wasn't meeting those expectations, or feeling like I couldn't, that could cause some added stress or tension on us as well. Do you have any of those feelings as it relates to what you may have been dealing with as 16, 17-year-old, coming into your self, trying to do good and meet the expectations, and maybe you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Do you
absolutely,
have some of
absolutely.
those?
Yes. One of the main things I heard after, people had found out about my attempt, so many people said, "Oh my gosh, I never would have guessed it that she was struggling, or I would never would have thought in a million years she would be the one to do that kind of thing." And, that's the point, because I was hiding who I was and hiding how badly I was hurting, because there were so many expectations from so many different people in my life, including myself.
Mhm.
I expected myself to be perfect and to have everything together. And when I started messing up, it was like a downward spiral for me. I couldn't handle it. I could accept the fact that I wasn't absolutely perfect and I wasn't doing exactly what everyone expected of me, whether it was at school or home or whatever. And I really struggled with that for a long time afterwards, just trying to figure out, what do I expect of myself? What's reasonable to expect from myself, and learning how to be gentle with myself, learning how to make mistakes has been a really hard lesson to learn, but it's been so valuable because, when everyone expects you to be a certain way or a certain thing and you can't live up to that, it can crush you. It really can. And it's just something you have to overcome.
For sure, I can definitely relate. Even here at 40 something years old, I can still relate to that, wanting to prove and live up to that expectation. But then we have to get to a point to where we're okay with just not being okay. We really have to get to that point and give ourselves time and give ourselves space to really sit in those moments and those emotions and things that we feel. So you're on a college campus now as a sophomore, and I know you must be around other young women and men that are hurting. What do you tell that young woman, that freshman or that sophomore or that junior or senior on that campus, who you come across and made aware that they're struggling? What do you tell someone?
I think, well, usually the first thing I say is, I understand completely, and I know that pain, and you can be empathetic, but you don't ever truly understand until you feel that pain yourself. And it's not a pain that you ever want anyone else to understand, but it's just something that you don't get until you're there. So that's usually what I start with, and I tell them, I know, I see you, I feel for you, and everyone's go-to kind of is, "Oh, don't be suicidal, you have so much to live for, people have it worse than you," those kinds of things. But that was never helpful for me. It wasn't helpful when I was trying to heal. It wasn't helpful when I was in treatment. So I just tell them what was helpful for me. I speak to them how I like to be spoken to. I just say the truth. I don't beat around the bush. Don't say, "Are you thinking about this?" Just say, "Are you thinking about killing yourself? Are you thinking about taking your own life?" And sometimes just that question alone helps somebody because they're just so glad that somebody has finally asked. So just being honest with them and telling them, "I see you. You're not alone. It's not something strange to feel this way," because the truth is a lot of people feel that way. Everyone has a time in their life where they're sad or they go through depression or that kind of thing, and it is not as taboo as it seems. So I feel like people really feel ostracized when they're going through that. It's really not as uncommon as it's made out to be. So I try to really explain that to them, that they are in no means alone in the way that they are feeling.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, I think sometimes we have issues that are more common between us than we give ourselves credit for. Um, because we think that when we see suicide, or we perceive the thoughts of suicide, that it's a certain race, we think it's a certain gender, we think that it's a certain age group. And truth of it all, suicide, when we think about it, it can impact any number of us. It has no certain address, it has no certain socioeconomic status, no particular demographic, no particular culture. We're all impacted one way or another by this thing that's called suicide. Why do you believe suicide is increasing at a higher number now here in 2020?
2020 alone this year. Yeah. I think, well, obviously, this is fact. Suicide rates have increased in 2020 alone because of the pandemic and the isolation in the quarantine. People that were already, struggling with depression, struggling with anxiety, any sort of mental illness that were put into isolation or in quarantine, that is not something that is ideal for a person with mental illness. Being alone is never ideal, but unfortunately, due to the circumstances of the world, it was what had to be done. But because of this, there's increases in depression rates, anxiety rates, suicide attempts, and actual suicides where people take their lives. Human beings are not meant to be alone. We're social creatures. We need each other. So that is definitely a huge reason why 2020 alone has seen spikes in suicide rates. But I also think there's the same factors that have played into the last 15 or 20 years. Technology runs everyone's life, especially young people's, and I love social media as next as the next person, but the truth of the matter is these young kids are being affected by it more and more, and not in positive ways, in very negative ways, and it plays into their psyche, and it affects how they view themselves and how they view the world, and it causes a spike in suicide attempts and suicide.
Yeah, I was looking at some statistics as I was preparing to be here tonight, and it said that each day over 123 people died by suicide. And so those are some high numbers, in a day. And you look at that, multiply it in a week, in a month,
Yeah,
in a year,
and that number, when you put it in perspective, I only graduated from Hugo with like 90 people. That's more than my graduating class that we're losing a day to suicide.
There are some common risk factors, and you mentioned some of those as you were talking. There are some common risk factors that are associated with suicide. Do you have more of those?
Of course, I think the main biggest common risk that people often overlook is bullying. And we hear that word so much in our society, and we are really getting bad about being desensitized to it. But that is not something that we need to allow ourselves to do. Despite how much we hear it in the media and that kind of thing, bullying still very much does exist, as well as cyberbullying. It is very real. I am a very open and honest person. I have been bullied and I have been the bully. I always say people that are hurting will hurt others, and that was me before my suicide attempt. But what led up to that was being treated that way by others, especially people that you've grown up with your whole life, that you've been friends with, that kind of thing. And it's always amplified when you can't get away from it, like with social media. So I think that we as a society do not need to allow ourselves to become desensitized to the word bullying or what it really entails, because that is a huge risk factor And it's not something that needs to just be ignored or normalized.
Yeah, that's so true. And I did a video talking about the mean girl, and that's in so many of us. Uh, we're critical of one another. We want to be the one that we feel like we have to put somebody else down in order to esteem ourselves, and so we do things unknowingly of the impact that it's going to have on someone else. And you said it so true. Hurting people hurt people. There's no one who is healed and that is totally feel good about themselves that are going to intentionally inflict pain or trauma on someone else. And sometimes we can't see past what these eyes see. We look at the other girl as being perfect. She's pretty, or I wished I could be her. She has no issues. And so we're so quick to be critical of one another. Uh, but what can we do to shift the cycle of being so critical and being more supportive of one another? What can we do to help someone else dealing with issues?
The way I learned to do it was extremely drastic, and that was after my attempt. Honestly, I know that we mentioned earlier that suicide and suicide attempts have a negative connotation with them, but nothing in my life post suicide attempt has been negative. Everything has been positive because it made me a better person. It made me realize the way I treated people. It made me very hyper aware of what every single person could be going through and is going through. So obviously that's a very drastic example. I think if you're trying to be better about it, if you're trying to just treat people with kindness overall, you know, take examples from other people. Take an example from me. I didn't learn fully how to treat people and how I wanted to be treated until I had reached the lowest point in my life, which obviously I don't wish that for anyone, but it's the truth of the matter. I had to go through all that to truly learn how to be the person I want to be.
Yes, and that's one thing we understand about life cycle is that most of our growth and development comes through those dark times in our life. We can see that it has purpose, and I commend you for using your story as a testimony to so many others and for purpose for so many other things that are to come for you. Um, let's see. Um, it says here in some of the risk factors and some of the things associated uh, with suicide is that people that attempt suicide don't really want to die. They're looking to escape their pain. They're looking to escape the trauma. They're looking for solutions. And so, uh, for some who attempt, or for some who even follow through and succeed with the suicide, is that they feel like it's their only way out. They feel like it's the only option. Other things that are high risk factors are those that use substance. Males are more likely to complete that suicide, anxiety and depression, and recent loss. And we know that through this pandemic that we've been dealing in, many of us have lost several loved ones, which heightens the um, emotional connection and that pain that we deal with uh, outside of everyday life. What do you say to a young lady who is here right now, listening to us, who may be contemplating um, suicide now? What do you tell that young lady or that older lady who's just in that place to where they feel hopeless right now?
I would I would say you are going to become a woman that you always wanted to be, but you have to give yourself time to get there. you have to give yourself time to heal from whatever it is hurting you, and you have to do the work. And doing the work means healing, holding yourself accountable, and pushing through. And it's not easy. It's hard. You've got to choose every single day. I'm going to do this work. I'm going to become that woman that I need to be. And I would also say, reach out to me, please, because I see you. I know your pain, and I will do anything possible to help you.
That is so awesome. And as you guys are sitting here and you're listening to Josie and I talk tonight, go ahead and hit that heart button and show Josie some love tonight. Hit that heart button, hit that like button, share this video, show her some love. It takes a lot of courage to come out here on a platform and to just be transparent and to share some of the intimate parts of our lives, because there's so much stigma that is attached and associated with suicide. And so that is our hope tonight, is that we draw some awareness, but draw it in a more positive light so that we can eliminate some of the myths, eliminate some of the stigmas and things that are associated with it. Let her know that we all stand together. Here we support one another, we're standing together, and that we're not alone. So for any of you that are sitting here and you're watching us, and maybe you've contemplated suicide over the past 9 months, you are not alone. We're all dealing with something. Speak out. Speak out. Whoever, reach out. Whoever that will listen. Speak until somebody listens. Get yourself in a place to where you're around people that can lift you up and pour value and hope into you. We can't stay in a place that is negative and that continues to pull on us when we're in a state that is so fragile to where we don't know where to turn, and that we're just so overwhelmed with the pains, because many times we go through stuff and we feel like we are literally all alone. We feel like no one can understand. And maybe they don't have the same pain or the same experience that you have, but we have something that we could all share. And that is a listening ear, a compassionate eye, empathy for one another. So, as we're wrapping up tonight, if you guys have a question that you'd like to ask Josie or I tonight, feel free to put that in the comment section. We'd love to address any question or concern that you have. We see you. We see you. We know that you're there, and just know that you are not alone. And whatever it is that you're feeling tonight, it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. I cannot stress that enough. We've
Absolutely.
been there.
Absolutely. And if there's a question on your heart, please don't hesitate. I won't beat around the bush. Anything is fine. You're not going to offend me, or nothing is off limits. And if it's on your heart, but you're not ready to publicly share that, please feel free to reach out to me through my Facebook page. I will get in contact with you. Anything that may be on your heart, please reach out, because I would love to help, and I would love to have an open discussion.
Yeah, that is so wonderful. So it's good to know that we have somebody that can stand with us, and somebody that we can reach out to that won't be critical of us or won't judge us, because we know that support is so important. And there's a question here, says, can you recap how you heal, or positive things to do to change the mindset? So can you recap how you can heal, or positive things you can do to shift your mindset?
Absolutely. So, after my attempt, I was inpatient for 7 days, and then I came home and I was kind of like, what now? I don't know what to do. So number one, I am a huge advocate of counseling and therapy. I know there's a huge stigmatism around it. I understand that, especially, in small communities, but I promise you, therapy has absolutely changed my life and saved it in so many ways. So, number one, to start that healing process would be to find a professional to talk to that can help you work through these issues and overcome them. So, therapy and counseling, absolutely number one. It is so important in our healing processes. And number two would be to find things that bring you joy. So, I tried all kinds of things to, help myself distract, to get my mind off things. I started tie dyeing for a while. I did yoga. I was baking all the time. So just find things that you can get joy out of, regardless of what it is or how small it may be. I know that that probably sounds like advice you get all the time, but I promise you, if you take it, it works. When I first got out of inpatient, people were saying, you should exercise, you should do this, and I was like, I don't want to exercise, I don't want to do all this. But, I think I just reached a point where I was like, I have to get better, so I'm gonna have to start trying something. So I tried everything, therapy and pretty much all kinds of different activities. Just find anything that makes you joy, that brings you joy. And if there's something that you've had previously that no longer brings you joy because you've lost interest or that kind of thing, work on trying to get back to where it makes you happy. Work on gaining that interest back because depression steals our joy and it makes us lose interest in things that we used to love. So just work through that and try to find your way back to those things that used to bring you happiness.
So true, so true. There's a comment here that says, I recently attempted. I felt hopeless and felt alone. I'm so happy I lived to see this. I feel so much better. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I feel blessed to even have you on this live. And I just want you to know that please reach out to me if it's on your heart to do so. Um, healing is a forever journey after going through something like that. So if you want to connect, I would love to do that. And you'll be in my thoughts and you'll be in my prayers. And I wish you the best on your healing journey.
That's so true. I'm glad you said that. We think that, once we pass something or overcome something to a certain degree that we're healed and that we're okay, but there's always going to be triggers. There's going to be some things that's going to stir up emotions. Healing comes in layers, and it's day by day, sometimes second by second and minute by minute. And so we support you, we stand with you, and we appreciate you sharing that with us. We know that it takes a lot of courage to share. And so just know that you're not alone and that you have us here as a support that you can reach out.
Absolutely.
Are there any other comments or questions that you guys would like to share tonight? And as you guys are typing that in, if you have questions or concerns, again, Josie, I want to appreciate you and thank you so much for being here with me tonight. It means a lot. This is something that we really need to speak about more. We know there's so many young women and men, and I say that really we're young at any age, but that we're dealing with things. We're dealing with things. We are self-medicating, we're neglecting our self-care and things like that, to where, sometimes we're just in a place that we don't know which way to turn. And so we look for answers. Just know that suicide is not our answer. And you don't have to be ashamed to talk about it. It's nothing to be ashamed of, because as sure as you see me sitting in front of you here tonight, there was a time that I wouldn't be here, and it may have been that I would have taken my own life. And but I have a purpose now, and we use our voice for those of you who don't have a voice or feel like you're not at that place that you can speak now. So like I said, there's a lot of stigma around it. There's nothing to be ashamed of, and you are not alone. And so, Josie, I don't see any more questions or comments streaming. Any last words that you'd like to share with our audience tonight before we wrap it up tonight?
I just want to say thank you to you, Anne, and thank you to everyone that watched or commented or asked questions. It absolutely means the world to me. There was a time that I didn't think I was going to see my 17th birthday, and to be able to do this work just fills my heart with so much joy and gratitude. And like I said, if anyone ever needs anything, please reach out to me, because I will absolutely do everything in my power to help you and to help guide you. I will do anything in my power.
Awesome. Guys, we appreciate you taking out the time to be here with us tonight. This will not be the last time that we address suicide this month. I hope to get a couple more guest speakers on to come here to this platform so that we can bring out more awareness on suicide, so that we can be educated on what it is and minimize the effects that it's having on us in our day-to-day lives. I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith, author, educator, and public speaker. This is my special guest host, Miss Josie Frazier. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Good night, everybody.